with us to discuss this is Henry Mazur, Chief of the Critical Care Medicine Department at the National Institute of Health. Mr. Mazur, thanks very much for joining us. Now, there are many questions as to where this virus came from, and some rumors even suggest that it may have been manufactured. How much of this may be true, in your opinion?
We know that influenza virus that mutates rapidly, that recombines between birds and pigs, so that it is not unexpected that a virus like this would emerge. There's no real reason to think that this could be manufactured, that this could be terrorism. This is an event that we've been watching closely. This is an event that we expect. This is unfolding just as we would anticipate a new viral strain to be transmitted.
Well, as we have just heard from our correspondent, there's one controversy that has surrounded a company called Baxter. And if I may, I'll remind you of what our correspondent said in her report. She said that back in December, Baxter reportedly distributed vaccines to 18 countries contaminated with the deadly avian flu virus. So given this case, how far can we trust pharmaceutical companies to put the public good before profit?
The pharmaceutical companies have really been instrumental in the major health advances for the last 100 years. No one manufactures new tests or new drugs other than pharmaceutical companies. I think the record for pharmaceutical companies has been outstanding in terms of both the effectiveness, the novelty, and the safety. Are there errors? Are there safety problems? Of course there are, but they've been minor, they've been rapidly corrected. I think with the exception of a few blatant examples, almost all of them have dealt with in a responsible, scientifically appropriate manner.
Many people are concerned about the spread of the virus, and the World Health Organization also raised the alert level. So we also know that according to a U.S. health official, that there may be no vaccine until the autumn. So what is a realistic assessment of the danger in the meantime?
We have to be very careful about dealing with data and making projections based on the data that we have. We have a lot of experience with influenza from past epidemics, from past endemics. We know that this virus can mutate, and we know that when there are major mutations, major shifts in the virus, that humans have less immunity and the virus can be more easily transmitted. That we know. We know that there are cases in many countries around the world. So far, the disease seems to be relatively mild. As the epidemic progresses, what we don't know is how much longer will it continue, how many people will be infected, what will be the lethality or the mortality of this. We simply don't know, so that we can make projections or predictions based on what's happened in the past, but we also have to recognize this is a new virus, and that one of the great opportunities we have now is 10 years ago or 20 years ago, we didn't have nearly as good surveillance techniques in the United States or worldwide that we have right now, so that we're able to track this much more carefully. We're able to pick up signals in many countries that years ago we would not have been able to detect, so that we know much more about this epidemic than we've ever known about any other epidemic. There's no
An investigative journalist from Washington, Wayne Madsen, says the outbreak of the virus is raising suspicion.
I spoke to two journalists, one from Mexico City and the other one from Jakarta, Indonesia. And of course, Indonesia had a problem not long ago with bird flu. Both these journalists have been in touch with UN and World Health Organization officials, including a scientist who's dealt with Ebola virus and HIV/AIDS in Africa. And it's their conclusion, these scientists who they've spoken to, that this is a very unusual form of flu because it looks like it is a product of some gene splicing. The flu contains elements of bird flu, two forms of human flu, and various forms of swine flu. To them, it doesn't look like this is naturally occurring. The other thing is the target for this flu, as opposed to other flus, it's not the very young and the very old. It's people between the ages of 20 and 45. And the other thing is people are not contracting this from pigs. The National Pork Council here in America says pigs are not being affected. This is human-to-human contact. So people who either eat eat pork or are exposed to pigs are not getting this flu. Very unusual, and of course the scientists are very alarmed by the way it's being spread and the speed at which it's being spread.